Okay. So if you want to share your screen.
Okay. Sorry, I gotta hit got it. All right. So share screen. Hang on, I gotta remember how to do this. All right, perfect. Share. Now you can see everything. Okay.
Yes.
So module 3. All right. You can see my wonderful email. Okay. So it says that in small group, we're going to discuss the importance of public opinion. Nope, that's just the objective. Okay. PLC meeting. Based on your readings and experience, how does communication and community involvement have to be monitored and restricted by school leaders? Watch the YouTube video as a group. So it passes lemon test.
And I'll put, well, no, I can't do that. Just kidding. Yeah, for me at school, and it may be different on this computer, I tried to pull it up from that link at school and it wouldn't let me pull it up. Yours apparently is. Cool. I guess it was just my firewall. JK.
I don't hear sound though.
Wait, you don't hear it?
No.
What?
Stop sharing. You know how to do it? Stop
Do
sharing.
Okay.
Stop sharing your screen. And then now press share screen again. And in the bottom left-hand corner, there will be a button that says share sound.
Oh, shut up. You're amazing. Okay. Thank you so much.
I wouldn't have learned that the hard way.
I wouldn't have known either.
I've had that people tell me before.
Now, can you do it? Now, can you hear me still?
I can still hear you.
Okay. Now, can you hear the video?
And tonight, a fight between faith and federal law at a high school in Coweta County. The East Coweta High School football team regularly gathers for prayer before their games. Now, though, the district says a group called the Freedom from Religion Foundation is warning that it's illegal for coaches or school employees to join students in prayer. Fox 5's Denise Dillon was at tonight's game and has more on this story.
A prayer controversy popped up just recently when an organization, the Freedom from Religion Foundation, warned the school that it is illegal for coaches or any school employees to pray with the students. Well, many of the parents I talked to say they're proud when their kids bow their heads. Immediately after running onto the field, the East Coweta football team bowed their heads and prayed. It's something they've done many times before, but this time, new rules are in place. No coaches allowed.
The students have every right for student-led, student-initiated prayer in our schools, but there are pretty clear limits as to the role of employees.
Last week, a group called Freedom from Religion Foundation warned the school it's illegal for public school employees to participate with students in prayer. The group says they received a complaint and video showing Coach John Small bowing his head in prayer with players.
It's sending a message to the students. It's sending a message of school endorsement of religion.
The group says it could make some students feel like they're forced to pray.
They might realize that, oh, the coach likes this prayer too. He wants prayer to take place.
If you feel that the coach is leading the prayer, then maybe I could understand the separation of church and state. He shouldn't be leading it. He is an influencer of young individuals. But what's to say he couldn't take a knee with him and have one of his players stand up and pray?
Brian and Michelle Pace's son is on the team. They say if the kids want to pray, they have that right. And they see nothing wrong with coaches joining them.
I have my right to pray, and everybody else has their right to pray. So we'll stand behind Coach Small, and we'll stand behind our boys.
Clayton Herndon used to play for East Coweta.
The Lord's Prayer at the 50-yard line every game. After the game, we prayed together as well.
Now he's a coach and does the same with his players.
I coach an 8-year-old football team, and I pray with them every single day.
When the players stood side by side tonight, none of the coaches were near them, but many in the stands. Parents, fans, students clasped hands, bowed their heads, and prayed with the team. In Coweta County, Denise Dillon, Fox 5 News.
Oh,
I think you stop sharing.
Stop talking. Okay. Sorry.
I remember that.
All right. Oh, okay. So let me Do I need to share again so that we can see
that Google Doc.
discussion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I can take notes and like kind of type like what we think.
Thank you.
Okay.
So let me share. Let me share again. See, Safari Lemon test questions. Got it. Share sound is still checked. Thank you so much, Layla. You just saved my life. All right.
All right.
So under Allison, you said you're going to type.
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Under the so-called lemon test, a court must inquire: 1, whether the government's actions has secular or religious purpose; 2, whether the primary effect of the government's actions is to advance or endorse religion; and 3, whether the government's policy or practice fosters an excessive entanglement between government and religion. I will, can I start off with this because I literally live in the Bible Belt. I like the buckle of the Bible Belt. I live.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're recording.
Oh,
I thought we were.
Oh, yes, you are. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Mine is not red. It's red up in the corner though. I forgot the other night. I apologize for interrupting.
I was like, oh my God, I thought I hit it.
No, thank you for,
yeah.
We want to get credit. But no, I live in the buckle of the Bible Belt. And so like before I moved to Georgia to teach, I taught in Bradley County, Tennessee, which is also where the Church of God headquarters is. And being Church of God, and like my family is well known in the Church of God, we prayed before everything. So like I've had a huge wake up call stepping outside of that, the belt buckle to where it's like, oh, no, you can't do that. You can't pray. It's not encouraged. And so this is really interesting to me that I didn't even realize the laws that were violated daily in Bradley County. So
at Chestatee High School, that's where I graduated in 2004, but just, I want to say like 4 or 5 years ago, they had almost the identical controversy there. And I think they actually had like a chaplain come and like pray with them. But yeah, I mean, same thing. So
I remember this when I was in high school too. And I went to high school in Gwinnett County, and the students could pray, but you just couldn't have a staff member leading the prayer for you. So that was the distinction. And watching the video, it kind of sounded like that was still the distinction that they were making. I'm not sure all the parents interpreted it that way, but that's all, that was always the rule, I guess, that we went by in my high school too, is that we were welcome to do what we wished, but we knew that our coach was not going to join us or lead us. And I can't remember if they joined us or not, quite honestly, but they weren't going to lead us. But we were fine to do what we wished to do.
I mean,
I think it's harder in a smaller community because you feel more comfortable in that small, where everybody knows everyone. Like the school I'm at now, like the churches will come in, and I know there's one church in particular, they'll do a prayer walk around the school. And, they don't invite, like you can come if you want to, but then you don't, but then that's a slippery slope too, And so I think this is making me be more mindful as well of things that are going on in that smaller community.
Earlier in my teaching career, I coached soccer at my school for like 3 years, very short-lived. But I mean, I'm super guilty of this. Me and my girls, we went out right before like first kickoff, and we all like joined hands and said the Lord's Prayer. Like that's what I did in high school. So I was like, I'm gonna be a coach. This is what we do here. I'm gonna do this with my girls. But I mean, it's definitely as I got older and now getting more into the administrative and legalistic side of things, I'm like, yeah, that was a dumb like 25-year-old move, but
And I'll be honest, like I coached for 10 years, well, probably 15 years before I moved to Georgia, and they still pray. I really think it's because where we're located in the Bible Belt, And sometimes you don't realize the separation church and state, because literally we have churches that take place at the school, at schools in Cleveland and Bradley County. And so there is no separation. It is all one thing. We actually had the Freedom from Religion Coalition come in a couple of years ago because we had a very agnostic or atheist one school teacher at a high school, and he filed a complaint or whatever. But I mean, it's just like you said, it's really interesting to see this side of it, to where it's like, ooh, okay, we can get sued. we don't need to do that. So it is really interesting.
That's interesting. You make a good point that it's probably like a lot of laws, that laws exist, but unless someone takes the time to enforce them, people break laws all the time. So if you live in a community where the law doesn't bother anyone, no one's going to enforce it. But then when all of a sudden, when someone gets bothered and someone wants to enforce it, then that's when it becomes the issue, because you've got to follow the law.
Right. And I'm pretty sure
enforce it, then it doesn't get enforced.
I think he was wanting a promotion. I don't know the whole history behind it, and so I probably shouldn't quote it, but I think he was wanting a promotion and got passed over for like an instructional coach level, or like an assistant principal level, or even like a dean of students. And that's when he filed the complaint. And I'm pretty sure he got moved into a different position, and then all of it just kind of disappeared. So, but again, that goes back to that small town, location of it. Because I remember I'm going to be very vulnerable with you guys right now, so you're very special to me. My first year of being in Georgia, I made a comment with my kids. I was like, we're about to have a come to Jesus meeting, because you guys can't, this work isn't going to fly. And I got called, and so my principal, luckily, that recruited me down there, she was like, I know you're not used to this, but you can't make those comments. I was like, ooh, got it. Okay. I mean, that's the extent of it. Nothing, no harm, no foul, but just a simple little comment like that was like a red flag to some parents.
So yeah, it depends on you have to know the norms of your community. You're absolutely right. And the more diverse your community is, the more you better stick to the law, because that's when people are going to challenge you. And Allison, you mentioned the case of Chestatee High School. That was serious. It was huge.
Yeah.
It shut down, it put out all the attorneys were all over it. The central office was all about it. Those organizations that are out there looking for the violations so that they can roast the people in charge. And it was the year that I retired. That was the year that I was not letting Gideons in the door no matter what.
That was a good call.
It was a good call, because they were out to crucify the principals that were letting these things go on. And you really, if you're going to get involved with a church as a business partner, that's one thing, but you really better be really careful and really think through it. Because Letitia, when you talked about, hang on, there's something going on in my, oh gosh, there's too many things going on. There's screens popping up. But when you said that you had the prayer walk through the school, you've created an open forum. Are you willing to have the KKK walk through your school? Are you willing to have the Hells Angels walk through your school?
Right. And that's
willing to have gang members walk through your school?
And they didn't walk through the school. They walked around it, the perimeter.
Okay.
But I see what you're saying. This has made me very aware of that, and it's a slippery slope. You got to be careful.
You better be careful. And Suzanne Girard was very concerned, because those cases could, as a principal, it could follow you for 10 years.
Oh yeah.
That's why I wasn't going to get sued. I was 10 months from retirement. I wasn't going to. No way. So you really have to be careful. You have to know the norms of your community. I had a summer camp that was at a church, and it was just for our kids at our school. And I didn't run it. The church ran it at our school for many years, because this is a Title I school. These kids were poor. They would never have a summer camp. And you know what? I'm going to stick my neck out for them, because they got t-shirts. It was a sports camp. And I could justify it. They were our partners in ed, and they were on our billboards as a partner in ed. And I wouldn't let them send out anything that said, come to Bible study or anything like that. The last day of the camp, though, they invited, as they were putting the kids in the car, they even went to pick the kids up.
Wow.
But they invited the families to come to supper at the church. And that was totally their invitation. And the parents had the opportunity to say no. I ran it for probably 10 years and never got challenged at all, because it was free. It was a choice that the parents made. One of our teachers it was on their own time. They weren't on the clock. So we made all these things so that it could happen for the kids, but it was a very slippery slope, very slippery slope.
I also think sometimes in Title I schools, like, you're able to get away with a lot more. Not saying that you are getting away with anything, but like the parents are just so trusting and so appreciative. I don't know. Like, at least that's been my experience. Like, oh my God.
No, and I agree with you. I totally agree with you on that one, because and to add a point to, like, where do you draw the line? Like, one of the parents for baccalaureate for graduation one year was saying, like, she was Catholic, and they usually had like a, Baptist or Church of God preacher pray at baccalaureate before graduation. And so then it opened up a whole can of worms to where we had the Jewish, a Muslim, Catholic, Protestant, basically. I mean, you had every denomination, and that baccalaureate went like 3 hours.
Yikes.
Well, and that's, like, but that's the solution. That's the
right.
solution.
It was, but then
you can't eliminate. Or you could say we have a different pastor every year, and you draw them, by lot, and they know what year they're going to be, or, there's ways around that.
Right. But
just,
it was a double-edged sword for that year, because a lot of the parents were ticked because it went too long, which, I mean, I get that too. But at the same time, it was everybody's view was open. They did an open invitation at the high school to where you could bring in anybody. I mean,
so much easier, because you never know what they're going to get up there and say or do.
Yeah, I think there were stipulations, like they had to be like ordained, or they had to have some credentials behind it. It was handled the very right way, but again, they got that backlash because it took too long. Yeah. So it's like you can't win. Sometimes you just can't.
So that's why you need to know the rules. And that's what this is all about, knowing the rules. Okay. Everyone decided to meet on the same night, which is fine. And I know we kind of said this was the night, and everyone's meeting around the same time. So I'm jumping from meeting to meeting. You guys have very rich discussion. This is where the rubber hits the road. This is where you're learning from one another. So please continue without me, and I will see you soon. Let me know if you have any questions. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Rosa.
You.
Take care.
Well, I want to tell you about a time I had the opposite happen. So my first school that I taught at in Gwinnett County, I taught with this same lady. Her name was Stephanie. So we taught together for 3 years at this one school, and this school was very diverse. The faculty was wild. Like, the faculty would have parties where everybody would get together and get drunk, and the principal was sleeping with the secretary while his wife was dying of cancer, and like, this was not our place. So like, this school was wild. And so Stephanie and I together, we liked working together. We liked being partners. And so we kind of interviewed as kind of a package deal, like, we would like to come together and still be partners and so forth. So we both got hired to go to the same school, which was more in a rural area, still in Gwinnett County, but a more family oriented school, a little bit more in the country and so forth. So when we got there, our very first day of pre-planning, the church had catered us lunch, and the preacher stood up and welcomed everybody back to school, and thank you for being business partners with the church. And he said, now let's bow our heads and pray. And me and Stephanie looked at each other, and we were like, okay, this is not what we're used to, because we just came from the party school. So it was the opposite. So it was kind of actually, it was refreshing. We weren't against it. We enjoyed it, but it was also a very stark difference of, you go from, if something's not done to something is done, or vice versa. Like it's extremely different, but it was a cultural difference, an extreme cultural difference that that would have never been tolerated at the previous school. They would have not prayed before lunch at pre-planning, and at this next school it was totally acceptable. Everybody just bowed their heads and we're looking at each other like, oh wow, this is a new place. So it was kind of funny.
So my principal has a Bible on his, like, not his like main desk, but on his like back desk, and he makes no bones about, like, he's very religious, which whatever, I mean, whatever. But before, we have breakfast every first day of school, or first day pre-planning, and for the past 3 years,
All a mystery to me.
sorry, my watch just thinks I'm talking to her. But he's led prayer every first day of school for like the last 3 years.
Yeah.
But again, it's Bible Belt. Like, I feel bad for our one Jewish band teacher, but I think he's just like, whatever, I'm in Georgia. Like,
yeah.
But I don't know.
It's
I
the
do
same
think
at my
your
school.
community means a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm at a small elementary school, very rural, Title I. And like we have 2 churches that do trunk or treat in our parking lot. They buy us breakfast a couple times a year. Like, it's very, very involved. Now we do have some parents that are, that will say, nope, do not talk about it. Don't do anything. They won't let kids participate. We've got some Seventh-day Adventists that don't participate in any holiday. But we just kind of make it work. We never call out kids or punish the kids or anything like that. We just work around it because we're professionals and that's just what we do. But yeah, I don't know. I struggle with this a lot just because of my beliefs and my religion. But at the same time, you toe a line of respect to where I don't think anybody on earth has been saved just shoving it down your throat. And that's just kind of how I believe. And that's kind of how my husband and that's how our family operates.
Yeah.
Smacking somebody upside the head with the Bible is not going to be helpful. More of your actions and respecting different cultures, I think, would win a lot more people over. So
Agree.
Okay, so on this discussion that you've been typing so beautifully, what else do we need to put on here? And are we all turning this in?
If it's like, let me look at what it says on module 3. So based on your readings and experience, upload a summary of your group discussion.
Okay.
So we just have to upload this by February 22nd. So yeah, we can make sure we're all good with it on the Google Doc. Y'all all have edit rights to it, so we can edit and do whatever. And when everybody's good with it, I don't mind submitting.
I'm perfectly good with it. I think, though, doesn't it say we have to write like a reflection on it? Let me go back up. How does...
Oh yeah, we have to upload a summary.
I think, yeah. So we'll
okay,
just have to summarize those points. I mean, that's good. But listen, this is all. Is this good enough for everybody just to kind of create a paper?
I'm good with it if y'all are.
Okay, let us pray. Page 55, law and ethics and
education. Oh, we need to talk about whether we think little buddy passed the lemon test. Like the guy that we watched. Do we think? So there was a slide, and I took a screenshot of it on my phone from the PowerPoint, but it said a school district's policy permitting student-led, student-initiated prayer before a football game is unconstitutional. Okay. It's also unconstitutional for a school official, including a coach, to initiate. Well, he didn't initiate in any of these.
Can I be devil's advocate?
Yeah.
How do we know that?
Also true.
We didn't really get everything.
Okay, so I agree with you. That was like a very bland, surface level 2-minute snippet. Like I do feel like we need more information. Also, like,
because they could be covering for him.
Right. What is the origin story of this prayer? Like, who, like, yeah.
Well, it's from the news and it's one-sided. So we're not getting, also the coach wasn't interviewed either. So it's kind of,
right.
I agree.
I would
agree
say
with you.
You know, we don't have the whole story. We can't condone it. Right.
Well, and to be safe too, you know, and maybe he did lead it, maybe he didn't lead it, but to be completely safe, you know, with the law on a professional level, he probably should have removed himself from the situation.
Right.
If he was going to sure he's following the law.
Because
what slide were you reading?
He was right in the middle of the huddle, you know, bowing his head, and he was the only one standing. So
it's the one that looks like this. I just took a picture of it with my phone. I know I'm not very helpful. That's the slide. It has like little football things on it. It's that one
right there.
I think it's that one.
There it is.
Yeah.
Okay. But no, I agree with you, Tish. I think, I mean, his posture and his body language in that short, like, picture, but was he about to kneel down?
Right.
Did he just give like a pregame or postgame speech and then one of the players took over and started praying? Like, we don't have enough detail about that. I really just feel like to make a decision. And honestly, did they win the game? Did they lose the game? Because there have been times coaching where I have put my head down because I'm ticked that we just lost a game that we should have won. So like, I don't know the context of that.
Yeah, the photo could be out of context. Yeah.
So I think I agree though, Layla, that he should have removed himself if they were praying. But at the same time, I do think his First Amendment rights protected if a player is praying. For him to stand there. I mean, he has the right to religion as well. So this is
don't know though.
Is that like weird position of power gray area?
Yeah.
If he is the head coach, it could be like that's where that coercion, even though it's not like explicit coercion, it's like that coercion is there because it's a position of power.
Right, through that power.
Like,
and I don't know that he still has his First Amendment right
coercion
if he's acting on the job.
Right. And I have like an analogy, I think. So, you know that drinking isn't illegal. But if we have our picture on social media with alcoholic beverage or anything, and the student sees that, then, you know, we could influence them that way too. So I kind of see those the same.
That's a good analogy.
As being
I
an
really like
administrator or
that
a teacher, we're above the law. Like we have to
be above reproach and like everything.
Right. And it's unfair, but you know.
Well, but we know what we signed up for.
Right.
We know that we signed up to be a public, not spectacle, but a public figure, in a certain sense. I mean, we're not like Insta famous, or I'm not, but y'all may be. But I mean, we are in those little people's worlds.
Right.
And their parents' worlds, you know. So I guess I agree with you on that. We did sign up for this, so we do. Yeah. I like it.
I think about the same thing too about freedom of speech. Like, you know, I may want to call somebody an idiot, and as a private citizen, I can call somebody an idiot. But as an administrator, I can't call that parent that idiot.
Right.
Because my freedom of speech is kind of stripped of me in that situation.
There are lots of times where I want to be like, "What the F are you thinking?"
Right.
But you know what? I'm a professional and I can't say that, and I would lose my job.
Right. And your political stance. Like,
that's true too.
Very careful.
It's a very good point too.
Upper grades in an election year, that's tough.
It gets very spicy, especially with lots of
your population.
Yes, my population, where I have a lot of white rednecks and a lot of not white people.
Rednecks.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's another great example. And it's just that, like you were saying, Allison, it's that just you've got a position of power, and so that unofficial coercion through your position.
Yeah.
That if you make that statement of here's what I believe, then there's that unofficial coercion associated with that, whether you mean to or not.
Mhm.
But if you say I support this person and you've got kids looking up to you, then they're going to think, well, I need to support this person too.
Right. And I think a lot of educators don't realize the power they have over.
Oh, I agree with that. Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
totally agree with that. And that's kind of, not to do a shameless plug for this conference that we're at this week, but that's kind of what this whole thing is about. You don't realize the power that and the movement that you can begin in your own school. And it just takes one little person to believe. There was a really good guy I heard last hour after lunch. He was saying a kid's DNA, and I don't remember what the D stood for right now, but the needs and then basically like skills. And it just takes one person to believe in a kid for them to reach their potential and be a success story. And so he said his success stories are, they all don't happen at the same time. They happen at different times, but they all happen. And so, that was a really big impact for me. So totally agree with y'all.
That's cool.
Totally agree with y'all. Oh, whoops. Okay, yeah, I'm on the thing that I'm trying to click on. Okay, so we watched the video. We've got this wonderful thing that Allison's doing for all of us. Being so
Okay. I've just been typing furiously. So if that makes you're just edit it. I don't know.
No, it's perfect. It just summarizes everything. Okay, so let us pray, page 55, law and ethics and educational leadership.
So
Those
this
will be
is similar. Do you want me to just read it since you don't have a book? Okay, I got
Please,
you.
I'm going to McKay's soon. When I'm in town.
It's all good. Okay. Assistant Superintendent Sharon Gray was well aware of the religious views of a new school board member. Wait, hold on. Yeah, that's the right thing. Sorry. Sharon Gray was well aware of religious views of a new school board member, Allison Watts. Consequently, Sharon was not surprised when Allison introduced a new policy for the school board to consider. The proposed policy was entitled Student Expression of Religious Viewpoints, will create a limited open forum at football games and commencement activities and allow students to speak at these events. The policy would require Riverboat High School administrators to put disclaimers in graduation and football programs that the student speech is not school sponsored. It also required administration to consult with the student council membership and create a process for the neutral selection of students to speak at such events. The proposed policy read in part to ensure that the school district does not discriminate against the students' publicly stated voluntary expression of religious viewpoints and eliminate any actual or perceived affirmative school sponsorship or attribution to the districts of a student's expression of a school religious viewpoint. Riverboat School District shall adopt a policy which must include the establishment of a limited open forum for student speakers at a commencement activities and all high school home football games. The policy regarding limited open forum must also require the high school administration in consultation with the student council membership to 1, provide the forum in a manner that does not discriminate against the student's voluntary expression of religious viewpoint or on an otherwise permissible subject. 2, provide a method based on neutral criteria for the selection of the student speakers at a high school football games and graduation ceremonies. 3, ensure a student speaker does not engage in obscene, vulgar, offensively lewd, or indecent speech. And 4, state in writing that the student speech does not reflect the endorsement, sponsorship, position, or expression of the district. Question: are you for or against the proposed policy? I don't think we have to do that. Never mind. We don't have to do that. But yeah. So that was a lot.
Yeah.
So my first thought while you were reading that was, if you have to put the statement in there that, I can't find where it was, but the students' viewpoints don't reflect
Yeah.
that of the school, then why does it also have to be approved?
That's a good point.
Yeah, but then I started kind of thinking about like what Dr. Rosa was saying. Well, but then you open it up to, well, what if I've got like, KKK members who want to
Right.
speak? Does that mean I'm going to let them speak just because I say that that doesn't reflect the school? Or if I've got some devil worshipers who want to speak, am I going to let them speak just because I say it doesn't reflect the views of the school?
Is
So I
that
guess
disclaimer in there though, just to protect it?
I guess so. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't, like, I know I'm not using Dr. Rosa's example, but just listening to her read that, it made me think of like those infomercials. It's like the viewpoints of this does not reflect the, blah, blah, blah. It just is a disclaimer so that you can't go back and sue them. But there's got to be a policy in place to where you can limit KKK members from walking around your school or hate related, things.
So
I don't.
maybe this is me being dumb, but so in Dr. Zoll's little PowerPoint thing, it's like graduations are an expected like rite of passage. So we can't you can't have prayer at graduation because that's like, that is an expected rite of passage kind of thing. It's not like, so what is it? What is the question we're trying to answer? Just discuss it.
It just says discuss it. It says read, let us pray, and then discuss in small group.
So like to me, I don't think this should even be a thing because if they're doing it at graduation, it doesn't pass the lemon test anyway. Therefore, it's not constitutional.
Mm-hmm.
Personally.
I agree.
Because it's not a voluntary activity.
It's involuntary. Like you're required.
Expected activity. So
right.
But I can see how people they can just say, oh, well, I'm just going to throw a disclaimer on it. You can't sue me. Like, I can see how they think that that's like a Band-Aid to not, to kind of avoid responsibility.
But in the same aspect, just because your coffee lid says that it's hot doesn't mean that you can't sue that company if it spills on you because it wasn't sealed correctly.
True.
So, I mean, there are, just because you throw a disclaimer, it's like, it doesn't mean it's going to stick.
Right.
Disclaimers are not going to protect you from.
Right. It's not like a catch-all for sure.
No. That's crazy.
That's a good point. Even if you put the disclaimer, if someone is forced to sit and listen to it, that probably wouldn't stand up.
Mm-mm. Well, you could argue, I'm just trying to think. I wanted to be a lawyer growing up, but then I hated reading. And I guess I became a principal.
Yeah.
There you go.
My husband was home. I'd ask him. He's a lawyer. So, because I was like, look what I'm taking. And he was like, oh my God, you're going to ask me like 4,000 questions. I was like, yeah, I'm going to annoy you.
But my thing is, if you force them into that, I'm just sitting here thinking of it as a legal, if I was representing somebody legally, did they give me an opportunity to get up and walk away? Did they provide me an exit? If they didn't, then I'm going to sue you because you gave a disclaimer, but you did not provide any exit for me to get out of that situation.
Right. Well, I was asking him too, about FCA and what, I'm pro FCA. I went all through middle school and high school, obviously, but knowing all this, how is this? I mean, I know we are granted a lot of religious liberties in the South because it's the South, but he's like, well, because it's voluntary. If they were
forceful.
It's before school. I was like, well, I mean, that makes sense, but I mean, it's essentially church before school in the school.
But it is a fine line. I know RFCA where I live in Cleveland does they do Fields of Faith every year, and so they rent from the school. So, but then again, they also hold things in the gym that are not secular at all. That so I guess that's how they get around it. I don't know. That's a very fine line.
So unrelated, this is really funny. And again, I teach at a very diverse Title I middle school. A couple of weeks ago at FCA, we had some 7th graders who thought they were made lean, but it was really just spray and NyQuil. But they were passing it around in a water bottle like communion at FCA. And I've giggled at those for the past 2 weeks. I was like, it's like communion, y'all. Like, you can't be mad. And they're like, yes, we can be mad. But it's just funny to me. Anyway.
What'd you say they made?
Lean.
I don't know what that is.
Okay, so lean is made famous by rappers. Lean is supposed to be like Sprite or a like soda mixed with Tylenol with codeine, cough syrup. However, my 7th graders do not have access to Tylenol with codeine. So what's the next best thing? NyQuil. So they just mix Sprite and NyQuil and we're running around just drowsy all day.
Oh my Lord.
Anyway, but yeah, no, like literally you can see him passing the water bottle like communion.
Yeah.
I mean, when you said lean, I literally thought like,
No.
And then I thought, why are they passing? Anyway, I miss middle school every day. Freshmen are probably my sweet spot to where they just have that special place in my heart. But I'm in a K6.
Oh God.
And it you say, oh God, but we don't deal with that. We deal with the monkey bar situation that we did in school sims probably all the time. We deal with wet shoelaces need to be tied. We deal
I had to restrain a child twice today. She beat my tail, let me tell you. She beat my tail. Kindergartner.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I prefer middle school. I prefer the alcohol.
I was gonna say I miss it. Like I hear you talk about it and I miss it. But then again, I'm like, I think I may live longer in elementary.
Like, I've heard too from like, I guess it's from this class, but like other elementary school people, especially like kindergartners, like since COVID, they haven't gone to preschool, so they don't know how to like do school. So like, they're just like feral little animals who just crap out.
I thought I showed y'all that. I think I told you that in a different class where
maybe
it was
you. Maybe it was you. Maybe like I just probably was you, but oh my God, they're just feral.
It's true.
Let me pull that up. I'm gonna see if I can find it real quick.
That's like I think my 6th graders act like my 4th graders when I taught 4th grade.
Yeah,
that's the last time they were in school. So that fits.
Yeah, here it is. If this wonderful Wi-Fi will pull up here.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So the last normal year of school, it's pulling up. Do you see the spinny?
Yes.
The spinning wheel of death.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, so that's what I'm pulling right here. Last 7th grade, their last normal year was 4th grade, 6th grade was 3rd, 5th was 2nd, 4th grade was 1st, and 3rd grade is kindergarten.
Isn't that crazy? Oh my gosh.
So like our K1 and 2 babies have never, they don't even know what school is.
No.
Yeah. That's half the school, right? K1 and 2, that's half the school. Yep. So you got half the school that's equivalent to kindergarten.
Yep.
Wow, that's ridiculous.
And so one thing that I can share with y'all that we've learned here is this was interesting to me today. You don't go backwards. You don't review anything. You literally start, if you teach 2nd grade, you're starting at 2nd grade and you're hitting that level and you're pushing them forward. They'll catch up. And so somebody, I think one of the guys said, it's not learning loss. He said, because they never had it.
Right.
And so I was like, oh, it was like kind of like
opportunity.
Yeah.
We call it acceleration, and we equate it to like running a race. That if somebody is running a race and they're dead last, you don't tell them, well, hold on, we're going to go back to start and show you how to catch up. No, you're going to accelerate. You're going to run faster in order to catch up where you're supposed to be.
And that's that's actually what that little session was called. It was called acceleration. I thought, that makes so much sense. I don't know why nobody's really thought of that where we teach at, but they haven't. So
it does make sense when you hear it explained like that,
well, and setting goals too, because like we are struggling right now at our school of setting those tangible goals. So we know it's like a FERPA and COPA violation when you share like kids' actual test scores, but when you tell them, I need you to increase 4 points this week. I need you to increase 7 points total. It gives them something tangible to reach for.
Yeah,
which
we
makes
would
it
show
good.
growth bubbles. Like whenever we actually had like Tim scores, we'd be like, okay, here's us, here's North Hall, here's what, blah, 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 blah. And like with my access babies, like I had tracked, like we've been doing access for the past, God, 6 months, it feels like.
Forever.
But like my bubble kids, I pulled them one by one and I was like, look, you made a 4.0 last year. Like, do you realize that you are 0.2 points? Like you could have made a 4.3 and exited. Do you get what this means? And like, I don't know. It's just, I feel like when kids, even as young as like 3rd and 4th grade, when data accountability is powerful.
Yes.
That's another tangent for another day. But
Yeah.
Yep. I totally agree. Totally agree. You guys are awesome. I love being
see, I
in
told you
this
you would
with
love this group.
Best group ever.
We have a good group.
Yes.
I'm so at the beginning, I was like, please, I hope they don't think I'm such a slacker. I'm just all over the world, technically, literally all over the world right now.
Literally, you are.
No,
So,
you're good.
but yes, I will get that book. I will invest.
Well, I found mine on
Hopefully.
Amazon and it's janky as crap. But I think I paid like
you-
50. So mine was somewhere in the middle. But
Oh,
Okay.
Mine
you
is
bought
older.
it?
I did. Look on thriftbooks.com too.
Ooh,
Oh, okay.
Also,
If
that's an
it's
excellent
useful, I
resource for
It
like
is.
classroom stuff too. But yeah.
Like if I find it to be really useful, I think I would like to go back and actually buy it instead of reading it. I have it on hand.
Right.
But I don't know. I may wait to see how useful I think it is.
Yeah.
as
I
we go.
just know, like, my husband's about to have knee surgery, and like we're at this conference, and like there's a lot of things coming up, and so I was like, I cannot do $100
No.
book right now. Like I can't.
Mhm.
And then the GACE is coming up. When are y'all taking your GACE?
My first one's February 11th.
Dude, I don't know. I haven't even got I haven't signed up for it yet. I'm like my life is
I
on
don't either.
fire right now. I don't know.
Next week.
Ugh, that is next week.
I'm so
It's
thankful
the
to hear
Which
you
one
say
what are
that.
you doing next week?
The leadership one.
The GACE.
So
What other one did you say you're doing?
I have to do curriculum instruction.
Oh, okay. Okay.
oh, what's that one for?
So you're taking the leadership first?
Yeah.
Well, good. So you can tell us how it is.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. Okay, that is
What
good.
Next Friday.
What are you
Ugh.
doing the curriculum instruction for?
I do not have my ed specialist isn't in curriculum instruction, so I have to take the curriculum.
What's your specialist in? I'm being nosy.
Elementary education.
Oh,
Hmm.
you got enough curriculum instruction right there.
And
So that's interesting. Now I'm wondering if I'll have to take like that because my specialist is in middle grades, math and science. Like it's content specialized.
in the email I got, it said to register for both of those. So it's a lot of
Oh, that's good. That's good. Good.
I
Great.
didn't get an email. I think I only got to the email for the leadership one. I don't have a specialist yet. I only have a master's in administration and then getting this. So I think tier 2 gets me the EDS.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. That's how I am too. I only have a master's, so I don't have to take the whatever else.
I
I'll
never
get it
wanted
when I
to
go
go.
back.
High five, Layla.
I never wanted to go into administration, and
Girl, same. Same.
look at me.
I said the same thing, and now I think I waited way too long. I wish I would have done it
I
earlier.
love it. I love it.
See, that makes me feel good because like some days like my administrators just look like they need to go home and drink like a handle of vodka. And I'm like, oh
Well, that's true too, but
yeah. Yeah.
I do love it. It's the best decision I ever made. I wish I would have done it way sooner.
Oh,
fun.
that makes me feel good. Okay.
FYI, the thriftbooks.com is temporarily out of stock.
Oh,
Day.
you probably bought it all, Allison.
I probably do. Well, I got this one on Amazon, but just in general, like for your classroom libraries and stuff, thriftbooks.com, y'all. You can get used books for like $3 and they have good titles too.
I've never heard of that site, so thank you for sharing.
Sure.
So And what's her face? Or last week we had to do a breakout. Were any of y'all in my breakout group with?
You want to stop
Coach O?
recording?
Oh yeah. Here, I'll stop.